How is everybody?
Good.
Hey, you guys are not muted. You can talk, you know. Oh, Claudia is. Arnold is too.
Okay, I'm not.
How are you guys this morning?
Good.
Great.
That was fun.
Sure.
That was a fun meeting this morning.
Always
didn't
good to
know.
have laughs.
I didn't know that everybody in the world was moving to Toronto.
Well, it sure feels like it.
Yeah, it does sometimes, doesn't it? Oh, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
You know, regarding those open bid that you were talking about just now, I agree with Pinder 100%, where I foresee more people as a first-time buyer get pushed out of the market, because if it's open, at least a guy have an idea how much his property is going for, and if he can afford to, he's going to put that extra 100,000, that extra 200,000 that the next guy doesn't have.
Yeah, could be.
You know, so I mean, I could see that be a problem.
You know, I wanted us to kind of hash this around a bit, because there's so much out there, and people are going to ask you, you know, when you're out in the field, and you may as well bring it up.
Yeah.
And talk about the process and how it works, and that, you know, because people will ask. So if they ask you, I want everyone to kind of hear both sides. It was just coincidental that George had the complete other side of it. I wasn't expecting. So but honestly, when outside of people with special interests like us, or a buyer who has their special interest and the seller does, everything I'm reading talks about supply, and about supply being the problem, and you know, and the red tape involved with how the whole development process works, and what you can't do in a short period of time. You know, if we all got together as a group and went to buy a piece of land and decided to rezone it and build a little condo building of, I don't know, 8 floors, how long do you think it would take us to get permits or even approvals? You're talking 5-year runway on this. 5 years is a long time. It's a long time to get it. So, you know, the things that are happening now, and you see these launches coming, nobody pulled the trigger 2 days ago or last year to get approvals. It takes a tremendous amount of time, and it's kind of scary. I think OREA is doing the right thing, is lobbying the MPPs to say, hey, let's talk to government, so that if we can get them on our side, they can maybe help, or even the land transfer tax, like give the buyers a break, let them, or each first-time buyers, let them buy with less down. You know, if, I don't know, 5% is a lot of money, maybe they buy with nothing down. I don't know what the answer is, but it sure is spicy out there, and still, you know, it's a positive market for us in a lot of ways, unless we're driving around all of Southern Ontario with a buyer making offers and not getting them. And all of you guys know exactly what that's all about. It's crazy. So I seem to have lost a week. Which week are we on with Mr. Leader?
Marketing strategy.
Okay, then I didn't lose a week. Okay, good. Delbert,
You kind of did. You kind of did.
just Delbert, because you're so talkative this morning,
Oh,
why don't you tell us what you got out of last week's?
maybe that's what I got out of it. He said something that kind of touched me, where he said, "Don't be afraid to make mistakes." And I find that I struggle with that a lot, whereas I got to make sure that I get this right. I don't make a mistake. I say the right thing, so to speak. And I think it holds me back a bit. Another thing that stand out for me is writing on the brand of the company that you're with. Because even before I got into real estate, I'll see some sign in my neighborhood, and I have to go up close to it to see that it belongs to Remax. And I always wonder why agents does that, because if I have a brand that is already recognized, why would I want to stand in front of it? And I think that was a very good point.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And the truth of the matter is, once someone deals with you, they're dealing with you. If it was a good experience, they're going to come back to you if you stay in touch with them. You know, NAR, National Association of Realtors, says something like 80% of respondents, home buyers and sellers, would deal with their agent that they dealt with when they last transacted. Yet the truth of the matter is almost the same amount of people do not. And do you know why?
Lack of communication.
The agent didn't stay in touch.
Yeah.
They walked all the way down the aisle with them. They got to the altar, they got married, and then they never saw them again and never heard from them
Yeah.
again.
I have a few of those experiences.
Yeah, and so, but when it comes to the brand, strangers we know like brands. You know, strangers are attracted to brands, but when they meet you, that's all about you. You know,
Yeah.
and so I agree with you. I think that it's powerful, and it gives consumer confidence if you have a good brand behind you.
Yeah.
How about you, Jennifer?
I was gonna say, I think the thing that stuck with me is it really is a long game. It's about sort of getting the name out there and getting the brand recognition developed, that it's going to be sort of a long-term plan, that this isn't going to have immediate payoffs like prospecting would.
Correct. Absolutely. Billboards, they look nice, but they're also ego work. Radio ads are ego work. Things like that are support for once you've already gotten to the point where you do have enough business, not trying to generate all your leads off a radio ad, because it's not going to happen. And so, and it just won't. It sounds great, and you think, wow, I heard my name on the radio, and all your friends will call you. But other than that, you know, your friends were going to call you anyway.
You're just one more name out there.
Just something to think about. Mr. Balaban, sir.
Up to the plate. I really like the when he talked about focusing on a specific target group, or because my thought before was I didn't want to focus on a certain demographic, like first-time home buyers, for instance, because I was worried then if you focus on that, then you're missing out on this whole other chunk of potential demographics. And that was my process of thinking. But then when he went through that and he said, you kind of have to start somewhere, and it eventually stemmed into him helping their parents buy places, and then stemming into construction ones. And then now he's branched out from his initial starting demographic that he specialized in. That made sense to me, and that kind of turned on a light bulb. And at the same time, because then he said you really understand their questions and concerns that they would have, and you can address them in your marketing. And so right away, like from pretty much all I've been working with so far is first-time home buyers for the most part. Mm-hmm. And a huge thing that I think most of them have always asked, and they're always shocked to hear, is that it doesn't cost anything to work with a realtor. And I think like 90% of first-time home buyers have no idea that it really doesn't cost them a penny, really. Mm-hmm. To work with a realtor and get a pre-approval and all of that. And every time they hear that, they're always shocked. And then so I feel like focusing on things like that might make them feel more comfortable and confident in the process of buying something could work wonders. So I took away from that one.
Yeah, for that specialization, Ben, I mean, clearly you know more than those ones do, right? So whereas someone who's transacted 5 times sometimes brings different challenges because they have a set of experiences that they're dealing with. I think if you look at the most successful people in our industry or any industry specialize in something. I don't think they're excluding other things, but they do specialize in something for sure. Whether it's geography, whether it's a type of property, whether I've seen somebody focus on waterfront only. You know, it's there's so many specializations. I think that's sage advice for sure. So you're going to specialize in, what do you think?
I'm thinking first-time home buyers right now, because it's hard to, what I've realized is pretty much everybody that's bought a house has worked with an agent at this point, and if their agent hasn't been in contact with them and they won't use them, then those are really the only people that are available to scoop in and be able to sell their homes. But just in terms of people that are in my circles and that I meet and I see and friends and everything, it's mostly first-time home buyers, just because they're at that point now where they're finally doing that. And I don't have really the connections where people have been able to own a house or have previously bought one. And I'm finding a number of cases their parents too, like just because their parents know me and they know I'm not a degenerate and like all this stuff. So then they trust me. And I've had one of my friends where I was giving him advice and I had a conversation with him, and his parents recently sold a home and they've known me for a long time, but I think they always kind of looked at me as a kid still, because that's how I grew up knowing them. But then after they heard everything that I was telling him, they said, yeah, actually that's right. Like Ben knows what he's talking about. we feel comfortable with you going and working with him then. And so I kind of won over their trust through their kid as well. So I feel like that's kind of the avenue that I'm going to be focusing on taking.
Awesome. So just to poke one little hole in your logic, that remember 80% of agents don't keep in touch with their client. Number one. Number two, anyone who bought new, generally, especially if it's low rise, townhouse, or even condos, generally didn't work directly with an agent. They'd more or less work with the builder. And so first-time home sellers are actually very good too, because they've never gone through the process before. Something to think about. All those new developments, they were unrepresented. And even if they were introduced to a new condo through an agent, the stickability is a lot different, because really the agent just does the intro in a lot of ways sometimes. So just, I think the market's bigger than you think. That's all.
Okay.
Jen, how are you doing?
Oh, I think you know. No, I'm all right. I'm good. So the marketing, what did I write here? Yeah, more the same of like, well, I actually wrote connect with your ideal client. So like knowing who you're targeting and, you know, whatever that is, if it's like similar lifestyle, if it's, hey, I have kids in hockey, and just relating, find those people and target them, like speak to them. Right. But I wrote down, because there's always like a good laugh for me. And the laugh in this one was when he said, it was his response to the people who say I lost a listing. And he says something about like, oh, what, did it fly out the window after you signed it? And I'm like, it's so funny to me, because like, I hear that all the time from certain people, like, oh my God, I can't believe I lost that listing. I'm like, when was the last time you talked to them? You know? So like, it wasn't yours, you know, that's different. So anyways, I enjoyed that part.
That's funny. And the truth of the matter is, every time you take a listing, there's probably 2 or 3 agents out there that thought they should get it.
Yeah.
It works the same way. I mean, just because you knew them or you walked by their house and talked to them once, or, you know, who knows, people have expectations, right? Arnold, are you going to go golfing again?
Oh, absolutely.
Were you sore the next day?
No, I was okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I was actually okay. So it wasn't that bad.
Fantastic. Speaking of golf, Chris Leader is not a good golfer either. So, and he's a really successful guy. So,
Okay.
but he always shows up. So he likes to go. So
I will definitely take some lessons for sure.
Yeah. So speaking of Chris Leader, what did you get out of his marketing segment?
You know what? I think when he talks about like, and you guys mentioned before too, in the conversation, it's about finding your niche, right? Finding, you know, like Ben said, you know, first-time buyers, then concentrate on those, but don't forget about others, right? Or, you know, like I'm concentrating heavily on, you know, keeping in touch with my clients or a friend or whoever, because you never know what can turn tomorrow, right? You, Alex, mentioned that, you know, when you're doing the pre-construction, you're just an introduction. I try to be more than that. So what I've done, you know, recently with the Fenelon Falls, I make sure that like, for example, the paperwork, the checks, everything goes through me, and I personally deliver to the builder, because I'm building that relationship with the builder and my clients. So if they have questions, they call me. For the pre-approval, they call me. So I stay in that communication. Like I don't want to break up, because as soon as you break up, you're just one transaction guy, right?
Yes.
So I think definitely, finding where you feel more comfortable, either working with the first time buyers or working with buyers or sellers, working and grinding that part while you're trying other things, right?
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. Very good advice. Claudia, how about you?
Pretty much what everybody mentioned. It's prospect first and then market, because you want to prospect to build the trust, and your marketing pieces should be all the same, including your website. I do have a question for each of you. If you guys do have, because we do have with RollAPage, we have RollAPage Sphere website, we have Meadowtown website, right? But do you guys have your own website that you manage?
Jen,
Okay,
that's-
Jen has it. Anybody else? And Alex, just wanted to get your opinion on that. I hear sort of a mix, things about it, but I used to have it when I first started in business, and then I sort of let it go.
Mhm.
And now I'm thinking to get back into it, to have a source, to be part of my marketing and people to come and see it. I don't know. I know it's an investment. I don't know how much time, Jen, you spend on it. I don't know. Sorry?
I spend more than most. And I have I would love to hear what Alex has to say, but I have an opinion about why you might want your own personal one.
Well, let's hear your opinion.
Oh, okay, me first. All right. So the thing is that with RollAPage, like, we're really fortunate because of everything that they put into, well, everything. I mean, like, you really don't need to do anything on your own as far as having a presence, but that's the key. If you're looking to have a presence, that's all you need. Just somewhere for people to go to basically solidify that you're a professional. However, the reason I have my own personal one is that I'm building SEO. And I can't have that if it's linked through, I can't have it to the same degree if it's linked through another organization. So because it's creating SEO for RollAPage instead of for me personally. So because of the type of stuff that I am working on, like if you're doing YouTube, sorry, my phone's like dying. I don't know if I disappeared there. If you're doing YouTube or if you're doing blogging, or anything of that nature, you want to link it back to your own website, and that's how you're going to rise in the rankings, right? You're creating the SEO. So, and you can easily see this if you take any agent who is operating just through, well, I guess it's Sphere now. It's their name might be at the top, but it's going to be like RLP and then the person instead of just the person.
Thank you, Alex.
So there's a little bit of flawed logic. So I agree with you. I agree with you. But what you're not seeing is the power in having your ideal. You're on your own. That's where the power is, so that people can check you out. It takes an incredible amount of horsepower to get SEO, and SEO is not easily bought. So people don't like clicking on the ads. So when you look at SEO, look at who is on the first 4 pages, which without the little ad token on it. That's really what you should be looking at, as opposed to the one with the ad, to see who's actually getting the good SEO. And I think having your own personal site is a great idea. I think it's a place for people to check you out and substantiate your presence and that you're with it. The way to drag your SEO, you'll drag up with us. So that would be a real good trick to drag your SEO up without having to spend any money on it. Just so you know.
Yeah, there's a ton of ways. There's so many great ways. Yeah, to do it organically. Like my plan is a 2-year plan. So it's not an overnight thing at all.
No,
but if it's consistent, like if you're like, because my plan involves like multiple weekly content updates. So it's pretty intensive. So like I said, like I spend more time on it. It's just like not everything is visible yet. Right.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of
Takes-
time on it. It's just this part
Takes a
of
lot of
my,
time to drag yourself up too. It takes
Yeah.
some. Unfortunately, it does take time. The idea of throwing spend at it and throwing ads to it, you show up, but the average consumer is looking for organic now and not trying to look for the top few. Because I mean, you look at, I don't know, pick a name like Frank Leo or whatever his name is. You go expert in whatever area, real estate in this area, and you never see a sign of his, right? But he's the top ad. And it's like, okay, well, I don't see the guy in my neighborhood. I don't see him doing anything. And so how is that person? So people scroll. And it seems like the younger the consumer, so as you move down, the less likely they are to click on an ad. It's really interesting. So in building our company site over the last 2 years, it's been like a massive education. And we went with somebody who's, I think I told you guys before, they're killing it in other markets, and they've been developing the architecture for 7 years. And they're amazing, and they've dragged us up as a company big time in only a few months. And so now what we're doing now is having agents backlink back and forth, and you'll see yourselves get pulled up as well. It's pretty cool. It's a neat architecture. What so if I was a consumer and I wanted to check you out, first place I'd go is probably Facebook and Instagram. I might look at LinkedIn too, and then I'd see if you had a website. Because I think, I don't know, not everybody does. A lot of people run their lives through social media. But I still think that there's a lot of validity there. This is a long answer to your question, Claudia.
But it's good because, I met with Melissa Salazar on last week, because I said, okay, she was part of the Buzz conference and actually part of last week's meeting that we had. And she said, check, Google yourself and make sure you go on realtor.ca. So I sort of grabbed her attention, and she asked me to sign up to Yelp and some other, create an account.
Yep.
And making sure that everything is updated, so that if somebody Googles me, and I actually went to Google myself, and it tells you, Instagram is first, so how you rate, social media versus, like Royal LePage and so forth. It was quite interesting, so I'm like, okay, so I have opportunity to build my, I don't know what you call it, build my profile and presence in, like, I would never go to Yelp, right? But I'm like, okay, but this is one of the top, I guess, things that you need to. Not Royal LePage, realtor.ca, or Krea, actually. Krea and then realtor.ca, you actually get a lot of information. Like, it's a lot of information that you can learn from. So I'm going to just kind of read up on it and make sure that my profile, it's, updated and constant across all the platforms.
And the things like Yelp, and there's about 36 different directories that you should look at. It's not that Yelp is that great, it's that Google likes it.
Yeah.
And Google changes gears. The data heads are on top of it, like the developer that we use. They're on a corporate level with Google, so they get notified when there's changes, and they make programming changes within the sites that they manage, because they know that if Google changes a policy, your ranking can drop in minutes. It's unbelievable. So that's really their biggest customer, and that's who they pay all the attention to. And they go to their workshops and their seminars and their forecasts and their annual updates, because Google controls the world of this space anyway. So it's crazy. I had no idea that it was that powerful, because I just said the same thing as you did. Yelp, like, who cares? And he just said Google cares. Now, if Google cares, you care. So it's kind of neat. And so we can circulate the list of all the different directories. Did she give it to you? Claudia?
No, we only talked about a couple.
Okay.
Oh, no, I don't have it with me here. It was, well, because I'm also going through Facebook and Instagram, and one of the things that I was not aware, because I'm not really techy with social media, is Linktree. So that you can, you know, set up. So I opened up an account today. It's my day where I need to set up the account and set up everything to make sure, and then create links that can go, because I do e-newsletter. But e-newsletter only is emailed to my clients. But then Melissa said, well, if you do Linktree, you can actually have your links to your, what is it, the Instagram link, like you put it there and you create a post. You know, my newsletter is click in bio. And then when they click it, it takes them to there. So that's sort of new to me. I didn't even know that existed. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. I always wonder, like, how do people do that, right? I mean, I'm green when it comes to the social media, techie stuff, basic stuff, no problem. But so I wanted to just kind of make sure that I am there and that I'm using on social media before I actually go into the website part, right? Because that is the quick wins.
Yeah.
So I'm doing all that. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Realtor.ca, Krea. There is something to do with Krea that I needed to make sure that everything that fits through Krea, it's updated so that my logo and my, you know, whatever my marketing is, it will kind of be seen across all the platforms. So that's what I'm doing as a quick fix for now. Just to improve my social media presence. And, you know, I do like Instagram and I want to get better at it. I kind of took a pause for a few months, not really posting a lot of stuff because I don't know, I just needed to get away from the noise.
Yeah.
But now I want to, you know, I want to do it, but do it sort of, it has to be me. I was thinking of, you know, hiring somebody to do my posts, but I've talked to a few people and said, you know what, people will know that it's not you,
100%.
right? So, you know, create something, like Pinder gave me an idea. He says, you know, like Ray posts something or Rolla Page posts something and, you know, let Carolina have a template created, right? So when you see something, take a picture, send it to Carolina and say, do it on my template. And once she's done, and she's usually pretty quick, she sends it to you, you have a post ready. All you need to do is just put a few words and post it, right? And do one, when you post it on Instagram, also post it on Facebook. And, you know, you can use the same thing for your stories. So this is kind of the habit that I'm kind of trying to, I like to be everywhere, you know, to please everybody, but I'm realizing that, you know, to be good at something, I need to cut the noise and focus on one thing, get good at it, and then add more to it.
Call. Very good call. I'm going to send you all an article, or I guess it's a chapter from a book, and the author is Seth Godin, and he's a marketing superstar. And I'm going to send you an article that I think, or a chapter that I think will be very meaningful to tie in with Chris's marketing session. So watch for that. I just need to search for it. I think I know where it is. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to photocopy his book. That won't work.
What book is it from?
His marketing book. This is marketing.
That one. Okay. Yeah.
And there's one chapter in there that sort of it sticks really to not so much to the discussion we just had on social and websites, but with regards to the marketing chapter. I think it'll give you some good thoughts, and maybe we can chat about it after our next meeting as well. And I'll send that to you now. Anything else from anybody? You guys good? Mostly?
What's everybody doing for Thanksgiving for clients?
I'm giving away mums.
Yes, you are. Anybody else is doing anything?
Honestly, not for Thanksgiving. No, I got my newsletter going out. I'll talk about Thanksgiving and then I'll reach out to them afterwards, but I'm not doing any gifts.
Okay.
So I would suggest you still have a few days to think of doing something if you want to, and pick your VIPs, pick your Doesn't have to be the whole world, but your past clients and tight circle. If nothing else, make a phone call and wish them a happy Thanksgiving. And Arnold, what are you doing? We lost you there for a minute. Are you doing anything with past clients?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, already I'm picking up today. Carolina made me nice stickers with like Thanksgiving stuff and whatever, and I'm gonna be buying apple pies at the local farmer market. So I'm gonna be putting my sticker and delivering it to their doors.
Oh, cool. Very good.
Nice.
Awesome. I can't believe it's Thanksgiving already. And I'm just, you guys know that, well, I may as well just tell you, I'm a bit of a suck. Okay. So there's three sleeps left to when our son comes home for the weekend.
Alex, you can always borrow some of mine if you're like super lonely.
If you're so willing to lend them out, I'm gonna decline.
I have them 24/7 basically, you know. So yeah.
Oh, shit. No, it's yeah. So it should be a nice weekend, and I expect most people will disappear and fade into the woodwork on Thursday afternoon sometime, and not to be seen till Tuesday. So if I don't see you, or if I do see you, it'll likely be before Friday. And if I don't see you, hope you have a great Thanksgiving. But I'm sure we'll bump into each other. Guys, have a great day.
Right. Take care, guys.
Alex,
you.
can I
Bye.